and welcome to the Chat and Dematt podcast. Today we have a very exciting episode with a member of Groom Team USA. She is also the winner of Pooch Perfect USA and is the co-owner of the laundromat grooming salon. It's Macie Pisa. So, hi Macie, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you maybe just want to start out by telling us a little bit about your journey into grooming?
Sure. So I actually grew up with my mother, who is a groomer.
Lovely.
And I always said that I was never going to be a dog groomer. It seemed like a lot of work and I didn't want to do it. But it was kind of the easiest thing for me to get into once I moved out of my parents' house.
Yeah.
And I kind of stumbled into it a little bit. And I was washing dogs for like 3 years at a grooming salon. And I was like, all right, this is what I've got to do.
You've got to bite the bullet.
So I started learning from a local groomer. I'm sure my mother would have preferred I learned from her, but I did not. And I just kind of decided that I wanted to push myself a little bit more. So I started working on some different certifications, decided I wanted to jump into the competition ring, and here we are 8 years later.
Probably flown by.
Yeah, sure has.
It's maybe a good thing though that you didn't work with your mum. I know I couldn't work with any of my family. I would end up fighting with them.
Yeah, my mom and I get along, but if we spend more than an hour or two together, we're probably gonna get into a fight.
So obviously with the amazing things you've done in your grooming career, one of probably the things that catapulted you onto like a world stage was Pooch Perfect USA, which you won.
Yep.
So congratulations on that.
Thank
first
you.
And foremost. What was it like? Like, was it different than what you thought it was going to be whenever you were filming?
Yeah, so when I first auditioned, I was kind of told that it would be everyday normal dog grooming.
Yeah.
I'm not a creative groomer. It's not what I normally do. So when we finally went on TV and they basically every challenge rolled out and it was creative grooming.
Oh gosh.
They never show it in the TV show, but every single episode, every single challenge, I said, well, we don't know what we're doing, so we're just gonna have fun.
Yeah.
But I think a big part of that is why we ended up winning, just because we had a lot of growth from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And the judges kind of saw the fact that we didn't know what we were doing in the beginning, but we learned the whole way, and we had fun doing it, and we had fun with the dogs.
And you worked it out.
Yeah. We did.
Was there any point in the competition where you thought, yeah, we're going to win this?
Not until, I'm going to say like the last 2 episodes, I was like, I think we could really do this.
Yeah.
I really think that we have a shot. It's super funny because Karina didn't bring enough clothes for us to stay for the entirety of the show because she did not think we were going to last that long. So the last few days, the producer was giving us her clothes for Karina to wear.
Yeah.
And we were like shopping on Amazon because we were like, Karina doesn't have anything to wear.
Oh, that's so sweet though. That's nice in a way.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. And it was nice to see Karina finally accept the fact that there was a good chance that we were going to win. That's
good. Get her positive mentality up.
Yeah. She's a realist.
Yeah.
She has a healthy level of realism.
Would you say you're the optimist in the pairing then?
No, I'm just overly confident. I'm like, if I believe that we can do this, then we can do this.
I feel like you have to be that way though in dog grooming sometimes. You just have to will your way through it.
Absolutely. You got a difficult dog on your table. You have to, use every ounce of your composure and every ounce of your willpower to make it through the groom. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. And one of the things I have to comment on the show was the light up, glow in the dark octopus. Mm-hmm. That was so cool.
So when they told us that we were doing a glow in the dark challenge, every single team was like, we have no idea what this means. And it was really interesting to see how everyone kind of interpreted it.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, all I could think was, how cool would it be when you turn off the lights for it to be completely different than when you are looking at it? And it was super cool.
It was really cool. For anybody listening, go watch it on YouTube. There's a clip of it. It's so cool. But it was the way the texture appeared suddenly. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen on a dog, personally.
So I have to give Karina major props on that one, because we were trying to figure out... Sorry, there's a Bichon playing in the background. Trying to figure out how to just get the glow-in-the-dark color to actually come out in a way that we could get that texture, because it's actually like a paste, and most people had to paint it on, but we actually put it in a spray bottle. And I say Karina put it in a spray bottle and added a little bit of water so she could get it, so that we could just squirt it on over some stencils. It worked out really well.
No, it did. It worked out amazing. And one thing, whenever I was reading up about you, is you became a master groomer in 2016. What was the process like in becoming a master groomer? Did you find it easy? Was it challenging?
So I decided to go through the NDGA, the National Dog Groomers Association of America, and I was overly confident going into it.
Yeah.
The first seminar that I went to, I realized that I had no idea how to groom a Westie, and I was supposed to be testing with one that weekend.
Lovely.
So had I not gone to the seminar, I would not have passed. I did pass, but only because Jody Murphy and I believe it was Diane Bedelac were like, this is how you groom a Westie. And I was like, oh, I've been grooming a Westie like a Cocker Spaniel. I need to change things. So it definitely kind of showed me a little bit more on how I need to prepare better for things and be less confident sometimes. So I found that I learned so much, and it really helped me just grow, just because it's a lot of independent learning. Testing through the NDGA. I really liked testing through them just because it was, they have a lot more testing sites than a couple of different organizations that I had thought about using. And I really liked the testers, the people who were judging you, just because I felt like there was a really good variety of people. Some of them are really hard, and some of them are a little bit nicer and easier. But I definitely feel like becoming a master groomer and just that whole process is really what helped me become the groomer that I am today.
Yeah.
You know, we know that being a master groomer doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot to every client that we see, but just going through that process and kind of learning and growing made me a better groomer as a whole, with pet dogs, with show dogs, everything.
And how many years into your career were you whenever you became a master groomer?
I started grooming in oh my goodness, it's been 10 years this year. I started grooming in, I want to say 2012, 2013, and I started the certification process in 2014, 2015, I want to say. So it took me probably about a year and a half to complete my certification. And a big part of it was finding dogs. My first year that I was certifying, I did my short-legged terrier and realized that I needed to learn a lot more.
Yeah.
And then I ended up testing on my long-legged terrier at a grooming competition. And then the next competition I went to, I did the rest of them. I did my poodle, my sporting, and took my master's exam, because I was like, I've got this. You know, we've spent a year and a half working on all of these things, and just kind of blasted through it.
That must have been a lot of pressure though in one day.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that seems like it's really quite early on in your career you decided to do those things. Do you think becoming a master groomer, or even a groomer itself, do you think experience matters when it comes to getting those qualifications, or do you think it's sort of a learn as you go?
I think it's a combination of things. So know myself, if I'm not good at something right away, I tend to drop it and not want to do it anymore.
Same.
So yes, when I first started grooming, it was a lot to learn and it was a lot to pick up, but I found that I picked things up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then I reached a point where I wasn't picking things up as quickly because I needed a lot more help. And I felt like just working towards my master's helped keep me from just dropping grooming altogether, because I had reached a point where I wasn't good at something. And just having that extra bit of support was really nice. I would definitely suggest getting your master's to anyone, even if you feel like it's not worth it on the client side. It is absolutely worth it on, you know, your own personal growth side. Yeah. And I didn't go to college, so it's kind of nice to be able to like say, oh, don't worry, I have my master's.
Welcome to Quickfire Questions. In Quickfire Questions, we're asking Macie a series of questions, and all she has to do is give the first thing that pops into her head. This round of Quickfire Questions is brought to you by Earthbath, made in the USA with natural and organic ingredients. Competition grooming or salon grooming?
Oh, competition grooming.
Afghan or poodle? I know the answer to this one.
Poodle.
Poodle. Snow or sand?
Snow.
Favourite thing to do in your downtime?
Crafting.
You prefer a big dog or a small dog?
Recently I've learned that I really like small dogs.
Sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
What is your favourite style of grooming?
I love Asian fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you couldn't be a groomer, what would you be?
An interior designer.
Yeah. Where's your favourite place in the world?
My favorite place in the world? I guess it's my house.
Yeah.
As stupid as that sounds.
That's a good place.
I just bought a new house and I really love it.
And finally, describe your career in 3 words.
It's creative, it's loving, and it's fun.
Lovely. Obviously, you do competitive grooming a lot, and that has led you onto Groom Team USA, which is another big congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Can you talk me through like the process of getting that place, how you got into Groom Team USA?
So I started competing in 2015, and I got a dog out of the shelter. I grabbed a golden doodle.
Lovely.
That had come into the salon and he was super matted, and I grew him out and I took him to the show, and I had only given him one haircut, and the only haircut I had given him was to shave him down from matted solid, and I didn't realize that the shelter had sedated him for that haircut.
Oh gosh.
So when I took him on stage, he tried to kill me in front of everyone for my first competition ever. I wish I had saved this, but the knob on the grooming arm, he chewed it off because he was trying to eat me. And
poor dog.
So that was my first ever competition, and we got second.
Yeah. Second.
And I ended up placing him with the owner of Wagon Tails Mobile Conversions.
Yeah.
She owns him and they love him. He's the best dog ever. He needed some training, but he was a really nice dog. And I was like, oh, okay, like I got second place.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I've never been a competitive person before. So I drove home from Groom Expo and I was like, I'm going to buy myself a standard poodle. Like I'm going to do it. A month later, I had a 4-month-old standard poodle. Okay. And
talk about taking a leap.
Yeah. Oh, my boyfriend at the time was so mad. He was like, we finally only have one dog. It's going to be fine. And I was like, nope, bringing home a standard poodle tomorrow. And so I put him in a Bedlington trim because I really wanted to learn how to groom Bedlingtons. Yeah. And I just kind of we had this really fun bond, and it was such a fun thing to just get to travel with my dog and compete. And we learned together because he was a puppy the first time I used him. I think he was 9 months old, and I was just as green as he was.
Yeah.
And it was just a really nice change of pace, you know. When you're grooming every day in a salon, getting to go out of town and go do something fun with your dog every 6 weeks, it was amazing.
Yeah, nice change of scenery.
So I just found like a lot of joy in doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part. If you want to go far in competitive grooming, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be shows that you don't place, and there's going to be where things are really hard. But if you can, you know, push through it, every single show I learned something. I hung out with different competitors. I made sure that every morning at 4 a.m., whether I was competing or not, I was in the prep area just watching all of the open level competitors to see how they prepped their dogs, and, you know, just kind of pushed my way into their path so that I could ask them questions. And every time I left the ring after competing, I went to every judge or every other like groomer that I felt I could ask questions to, and had them go over my dog and get critiques. And I feel like just getting a really good variety of critiques from everybody helped me a lot, rather than just saying, okay, that judge said this, that's how it is, that's how I'm going to do it from now on. I looked at grooms that I really liked online, and just kind of tried to model things after them. And I didn't really decide that I wanted to be on Groom Team until I made it to open level. And I was like, okay, I feel like maybe I have a chance. Maybe I can do this. Like, I didn't know if I was going to make it this far. And I made it into open level. And my first show in open, I placed with a Bedlington. And that was it. That was the moment that I was like, we're gonna make it on Groom Team.
Yeah.
I don't know what dog we're gonna do it with. I don't know anything, but we have to do it. And that would have been 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And then 2019, I made it onto Groom Team. And then COVID happened, and I took an entire year off for COVID, and then I took an entire year off because I had kind of felt like I'd fallen out of love with competing because I'd been home so much. And I was like, I really enjoy being home with my dogs and being able to do other things. And then I watched everyone else compete, and I got really jealous, and now I'm back out competing.
I think that's nice though. I think sometimes you do need to step away from it to go, oh, actually, I love this. Yeah,
it was good because you make it onto Groom Team, and then you're like, okay, that's it. That's all you got. That's where we end up. What else can we do from here?
Yeah, what's the next step?
Yeah, and it's not the end. It's make it to a point, and my end goal has always been I want to teach, and I want to learn as much as I can so I can share that with people, because I enjoy teaching so much. It makes me so happy to watch people that I've taught make it onto into open level, and now they're competing against me, which could be a detriment to myself, but whatever.
But no, that sounds amazing. And what tips would you give to somebody who is competing for the first time? So I have a lot of staff members that are competing, and I watch newbies go in all the time. And I find that the best thing you can do is reach out to someone that you really admire and ask some questions. I would say 99% of the open level competitors love helping people. So reaching out to one of us is always a great option. And I would say pick one dog that you absolutely love grooming. Don't go in thinking you have to do any specific haircut or any specific groom on any specific dog. You want to pick something that brings you joy. Yeah. And that's what you want to work on. You know,
my first dog that I competed with was something that I did every single day. Just a doodle in a regular teddy bear haircut. And it helped me with my confidence just knowing that it's something that I do all day, every day. I didn't have to go out of my comfort zone the first time. Obviously now I try and do things that are different. I try and do things that stand out. But when you first start, that's not the goal. The goal is to find your zen in the ring.
No, absolutely. And what would you say to somebody who's maybe going to a lot of competitions and they keep just missing out on that first place or second place?
Kind of like I was talking before, make sure that when you leave the ring, you get as many critiques as possible, and you pick the ones that you feel like you can really believe in.
Yeah.
But on that same vein, don't necessarily feel like you have to change everything that you're doing. Because if you, every single time you go in the ring, have someone else's voice in your head talking to you, there's too much static. There's too much going on. You're going to end up messing things up. Make sure you're not going in with too much hair. You know, the judges have always said, you don't get extra credit for going in and making a big dramatic change unless the competition you're doing is Extreme Makeover.
Yeah.
So, you know, they say 6 weeks or enough to make a difference. You go in with that 6 weeks of growth.
Yeah.
And you go in with a trim that you did 6 weeks ago that you felt good about. I find that a lot of my groomers now, they'll come take a lesson with me 6 weeks before the show. So they go into that show with a trim that, you know, I went over with them and they know is a really good outline to start.
Yeah.
And just before a competition, every night I would lay in bed with my phone or my book or whatever with just a picture of that dog and what I want it to look like. And I just like think about that.
Mentally process.
Yes. This is what the dog needs to look like when I'm done. This is what it needs to look like.
This is what it will look like.
Yes.
So you are the co-owner of the laundromat salon. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance between, you know, going off and competing and like co-own a salon?
I have an amazing team. That's how I can manage it. So when Karina and I first met each other, it was just her and just me. And so it was pretty easy to leave the salon, but when we would leave, it was closed.
Yeah.
So now we have 8 groomers and we have 2 managers for the salon and we have like 18 employees total.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
big operation.
So when we found out that we were going to have to go on the show, we had to make some big decisions because we were going to be gone for a month.
Yeah.
And being gone for a month from your business is not easy. So we have 2 managers that I love so much and that make my life so much easier. They handle the day-to-day. They handle making a lot of decisions for us. So it gives me and Karina the confidence that we can go to shows and we can kind of leave our salon in good hands and not have to worry as much. On that same vein, competing is expensive.
Yeah.
Competing is hard. And it's not easy to maintain your life outside of competing. It really isn't. I give props to a lot of the groomers that have been doing it for 20, 30 years because part of the reason I took a year off was I felt like I had lost touch with a lot of my friendships outside of competing because most people stop texting you and asking if you want to go out if you're like, nah, I'm still at the salon until midnight washing all of my contest dogs. Yeah. And then this weekend I'm in Atlanta and then they're like, okay, thanks. I won't text you next time. So trying to find a good balance of, you know, competing and friendships and owning a salon. It's not easy. It really isn't. At this point, I groom 3 days a week and I am in the salon managing like 1 or 2 days. But my 2 extra managing days are kind of floating if I'm at a competition that weekend, I'm not in the salon that weekend.
Yeah.
It's just how it has to be.
No, it's a better way to be, because at the end of the day, there's no point of pushing yourself to the point where you do end up completely losing the love of it.
Yeah, it's hard, and just making sure that you remember that your mental health is very important, and don't push yourself past the point where you are happy.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of competing if you're not happy?
Exactly. And would you say with your team, would you hire based on skill, technique, or do you think it's really important just to find people who really fit into the salon and you can trust and rely on?
We have a really amazing culture in our salon, and we do hire a lot based on personality and whether we think that they're going to be a good fit, because I can teach grooming.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily something that I'm super worried about. Yes, I want you to have a passion for what you do. I want you to have a passion for dogs, and I want you to have compassion for yourself, my staff, and the dogs. And I can't necessarily teach somebody to be nice.
Yeah.
That's super important to me.
And obviously your salon, so it's a really interesting one because it's half like a full grooming salon, but then there's this like DIY section of it.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so Karina opened the laundromat in, I don't even know, 2014, I want to say she opened it, 2013. And she just opened it as a self-service dog wash because she and her partner had bought a lab puppy.
Lovely.
And she was sick of taking her to PetSmart every week because she was digging in the mud. And so she took her to a couple of self-service dog washes, and she decided that she could do it better.
Yeah.
So she
Love the confidence.
Yeah, especially since she was in college for biotechnology, which is nothing to do with dogs. I'm sure her family thought she was a lunatic. Yeah. But so she opened up the self-service and kind of realized that as a new self-service dog wash, she wasn't really making enough money to make things work.
Yeah.
So she decided to add grooming. And she had a couple of groomers that came and went over the course of a year or so. And at that point, we met on Craigslist. And
interesting way to meet.
Well, she had an ad out for a job, and I was looking. And I remember I had kind of reached a point where I was like, I can't work for anybody else anymore. You know, I want to open my own salon. Yeah. Every salon I go to is kind of dirty, is kind of not really what I want.
Yeah.
And so she called me because I sent her my resume. And at that exact day, I had decided that I was not working for anybody else. And she was like, hey, do you want to come in for an interview? And I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. Another interview that I'm not going to enjoy. And so it was like, I don't know, 10 p.m. in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to drive by this place. And if it looks dirty, I'm just not going to go to the interview. And I drove up, and it was bright white and clean inside. And I just started crying because it looked like an Apple store. And so I went to my interview the next day, but I had washed my hair a bunch because my hair was purple, and I was worried that if I went to this interview with purple hair that this lady wasn't going to like me.
Yeah.
So I walk in, and she has purple hair, and I have purple hair. And we both just looked at each other, and we were like, you have purple hair, I have purple hair.
It's almost like, you know, that Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other. Yeah,
exactly like that. And that was 7 years ago, and now we're best friends.
That's the only way to make friends.
Yeah. And I came in, and I was like, okay, so these are the changes we're going to make, and these are the things we're going to do. And she was like, I love it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
And I get a lot of props for just rolling with the crazy ideas that I came in with, because most people would have been like, you're ruining my business. You need to leave.
But that's why it's probably such a good match. You know,
Yeah.
kind of bounce off each other.
Absolutely. And we're very different people. So we have very different ideas of how things run. Do we fight? Absolutely. On a regular basis. But I don't think there's any good relationship out there that you don't have, you know, everyone needs to come in with their own ideas and be their own people.
Exactly. Now, do you have a favourite breed of dog to groom?
So if I could groom one breed of dog all day, every day in my salon, it would probably be golden retrievers, which is probably weird for everyone to hear.
Yeah, every other groomer I asked her was like, poodle.
No, I could do 100 double coat dogs in my salon in a day and be super, super happy. I love just trimming feet, tidying up those cute little butts, and sending them off. A poodle takes me way too long in my salon. Do I love grooming my dogs? Absolutely. But in my salon every day, I would just groom golden retrievers.
Why? What is it about them?
They're good. They're easy money. They look beautiful when they're done. Like, something about their like beautiful golden hair
flowing in the wind.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah. And what tips would you give for grooming a golden retriever then?
Don't go overboard. You know, the most golden retriever owners want their dogs to look pretty natural. You want them to look like they've been getting their squats in. So a nice tight little tush and round little feet. And then just don't go overboard with raking them out, because they're supposed to have a little bit of undercoat in there.
Yeah, nice. And you've got your favourite breed of dog to groom, but is there any dog that you just love to see coming in the salon that you just think they have the best personality? That
would be poodles.
Poodles, yeah.
Yeah, every single time there's a standard poodle that walks in my door, I'm like, this is the best dog ever. One of the last episodes of the TV show, I hadn't seen my dogs in forever, and I have 3 standard poodles. So they brought in 2 standard poodles, and it was the first moment that I actually felt homesick, and I was really sad and wanted to see my dogs. And they just like came over and then just like rested their head in my arms, and I was like,
it's like, you're coming home with me. Like,
they knew I needed it.
Poodles sense poodle people. Any poodle we've had in here has just, anybody who's a real poodle person, they go straight to it. Which is what I found. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Macie. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. It was nice meeting you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Chat and Dematt podcast. We've really enjoyed having Macie on. Make sure you follow our podcast so that you don't miss out on our next episode, where we are joined by Jess Rona, social media guru and celebrity dog groomer. Bye!